So it's your first ride after going down. How do you feel? Are you nervous? You scared? You cautious? Are you wearing all the gear? Let's talk about it. Well, one way to get it out of your system is go ahead and hit some twisty roads, right? Let's go check out Mount Plymouth post-accident. So yeah, it happened 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks and a day. I laid my Sportster down and suffered some scrapes and bruises and a sprained thumb. Landed on my hip, so I walked around like RoboCop for a few days. And now it's my first day back in the saddle and taking it easy. Just a 50, 60 mile ride just to get back on the bike. And I've been on the bike now 9 miles. And what I've noticed is that I am wearing all the gear. I am on a different motorcycle. My Sportster's in the shop. I got Wanderer Customs replacing some parts that were damaged. And I'll have a separate video about that if it hasn't already been released yet. But I am wearing all the gear, and my sprained thumb is affecting how aggressively I'm riding, on top of being extra cautious and just feeling the need to be extra cautious. It's like I'm reverting back to, year one of my riding. So I'm curious to know, of those of you out there watching, how many times have you crashed and gotten back up and ridden again? And then what was it like on your next ride out, your very next ride? And what was the time between? For me, it's been 3 weeks and a day, and I'm arguably on a motorcycle. My softail, I feel, is much more subdued and less squirrely than the way I ride my Sportster. But I obviously can ride my Sportster in 5th gear at 30 miles per hour, and it's really tame. But the way I've grown into ride my Sportster is, like a sport bike. And this, when I get to hop on this, it's like my work truck. It's low, lean and mean, and I feel extra safe on it. But having had that event, which wasn't really a skills issue, it was an equipment failure that caused me to go down. Like right now, I'm sitting at this light, I'm turning right, and I have anxiety about making a right-hand turn. I'm going through the motions in my head on the arc and the radius that I need to take to make this turn. And because I got a big truck in front of me, I can't see the pathway. I know all I have to do is, swing my head around and go in the direction that I'm going, and the bike will follow, and instinct will take over. But that's something that I really wouldn't have thought about if it wasn't for that accident. But as I approach, I can see the easy throttle and go on through. So even riding through parking lots, I'm making sure, I whip my head around, look in the direction that I'm wanting to go, and doing everything back to MSF standards. I even performed T-clocks on the bike before I headed out. And, I know there's not a chance really that I'm going to go down the same way on this motorcycle, because I have different equipment on this, and the equipment that failed on my other motorcycle isn't on this one. So, but, anything can happen. You got to be prepared for everything. And on that day, I wasn't as prepared as I normally would be. I wasn't wearing my riding jacket. I was wearing a long sleeve shirt, but I wasn't wearing my D30 Under Armour, and I wasn't wearing my riding jacket, so it caused some extra injuries. Though what happened to my thumb and the hip couldn't have been prevented with any amount of gear that I know of. Well, perhaps if I had maybe some armored pockets in my hip area, and I know there's some motorcycle pants that do have that, so that would have maybe prevented RoboCop from appearing in my body for a few days after the accident. But I don't think anything could have helped my thumb getting bent back in the wrong direction. On this ride, I'm faced with the memory of the incident, but I think it's helping me be on a different bike because I'm not feeling the same sensations, so it's not triggering or anything like that. And the accident was very abrupt, and I basically had walked it off, so it wasn't major accident. But I'm feeling extra cautious today, and I got a feeling that I'm going to be extra cautious for a while, and that the incident kind of reminded me that I'm doing something dangerous. I'm not on a bicycle, I'm not a kid anymore, and not all injuries can be remedied with a Band-Aid and a kiss from mommy. And no matter what type of accident it is, slow speed, whatever, something mentally that affects you. So I'm kind of curious on what everybody out there has done in the past to overcome riding. Is it just more seat time? That's what I'm thinking. You know, time seems to heal all wounds, right? Emotional and physical. You know, what Pedro, my buddy Pedro of Wanderer Customs, tells me is that, you know, he's gone down several times in his 25-year riding career. You know, all you can do is brush yourself off and get back on. Cowboy up. And man up. And do the thing that you love. Because I would for sure really, really miss all of this. Just getting out in the wind and enjoying it. And I really, really needed the ride today. It's been rough. On top of going down, it's been busy at work and stress is high. Life stresses in taking a ride on the motorcycle. You know, after the first 8 miles, I felt confident enough to turn the camera on and talk about it. So I think I'm going to be okay. But I definitely felt a difference riding today, and I still feel it, that I need to be cautious and ride like a new rider, in that I am aware of all of the things. And I think that's something, as we gain confidence and gain riding experience, we kind of lose adoption of some of those things that we just didn't ingrain ourselves from day one. And I think T-clocks, checking your equipment, checking your fluids, doing a safety check on your bike is something that I got away from and potentially would have saved my ass come that one day 3 weeks ago. All right, fast forward about 25 miles into my ride, into traffic and all sorts of craziness already occurring in front of me, but I feel a lot better than I did when I first started the ride. So I think the answer is, but be sure down in the comments to let me know your experience. But for me so far, it's getting on the bike, seat time, doing the T-clocks up front so you have that peace of mind, do your safety checks, and then get on the bike and just having some seat time. And if you can do it on a sunny Sunday afternoon on some quiet streets that aren't too crazy, then that's going to build up your confidence even more. See, look at me taking off gently and all that. A couple months ago, I realized that my helmet was not safe. I was fortunate that my helmet did its job, but I really didn't land that I recognized on my helmet. I didn't feel myself hit my helmet, but at my padding, cheek pads, and the pad that goes on the top of the helmet was loose because it's about 3 years old. And all the sweat had kind of degraded the foam, and fortunately I have a Biltwell lane splitter helmet. Fortunately, Biltwell supports their helmets in the field with replacement pads, so I ordered new pads and got my helmet back up to spec, so it wasn't loose when I was riding. But before I did that, when I was riding, I was shaking my head and my helmet was really loose, and I know that would have been an issue, could have been an issue when I went down, but I was fortunate enough to go ahead and replace that stuff inside the helmet to kind of refresh it. And most people say that, you know, you should replace your helmet within, you know, at the 5-year mark. And I still got a couple years, so I was really happy that I could kind of refurb it. And I put together a video on helmet safety and when it's time to refurb your helmet and when it's time to replace your helmet. And that video is right here in the upper right hand corner. So go ahead and click on that and I'll see you there. Thanks for coming with me on this one. I'm Kenny West. Keep that shiny side up. Take care.